because there are a lot of big issues, there are always issues that get the most attention, and for a long time it was women and the need for women's shelters, and now we hear more about the opioid crisis and housing in general. Do you feel like women's issues are somewhat more on the back burner now than they were 10 years ago?
It can seem that way, but definitely all of those other issues, the housing and the opioid crisis, all affect women deeply. Certainly the shelters across the country are seeing women more and more who are coming after a lifetime of trauma, often being addicted to either alcohol or some other kind of drug, and having all of the additional barriers then that are related to that. So it's all of it is part of the swirl of things that leave women so vulnerable to violence. The issue of housing first as a principle for everyone is something that's really important for women as well. And sometimes they're less visible. We don't see as many women actually, on the streets looking homeless, but women can be much more vulnerable to needing to couch surf, needing to stay with somebody, being very vulnerable to sexual assault and other kinds of pressures in order to do that. And
it seems to me that you certainly and others undoubtedly who are running women's shelters understand the concept of housing first.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
a way that perhaps a lot of governments do not understand at all levels, that concept, which is if you have a home, it doesn't matter if you're on drugs, or the important thing is to have a house.
And that you have a way that you can maintain it,
yes,
you can maintain your tenancy
supports
and have supports,
So you mentioned some of the successes in the more permanent housing. I know it was 10 years ago a new shelter was built and sort of state of the art. Is there enough capacity for that type of facility now, or would you think we have more need for?
There's a lot of capacity. The issue now, and this is right across the country as well, is that women are staying longer in the shelters because there is nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think we were feeling sort of like, oh, well, that's happening in Toronto, but it's not happening here. But it's caught up now. And so, where, the average stay might have been 45 days, it now might well be months. And it's more of a struggle for women to move on, because it's not just a matter of housing, it's all of those additional needs they may be carrying with them. Or it's the fact that they have, several kids and they've got to find somewhere that's going to be affordable but safe.